What is it about power that is so ever appealing? President Lincoln had some thoughts. If you want to test a man's character, give him power. Well, with my continued propensity to turn to film for answers, I think Amazon Prime's The Boys can provide one. Or, at least I think it can. Set in a world of superheroes, with soups, the line between ordinary and extraordinary couldn't be any clearer. Those with powers that at first seem to be a gift from God are revered and treated as above the rest of America, both by the populace out of envy and the corporations that use them for profit. It is this demarcation that is so abundantly clear that simultaneously adds to the appeal of power. Unlike in today's society, where a few designer bags and a rented sports car can give the illusion of wealth and rule, in The Boys there is no potential for obfuscation, because the line is drawn in your genetics. You are in or you are out, purely on your ability to perform the supernatural. You simply cannot fake this status. It is because of this that I think we can provide an explanation for why Butcher is seduced by power, continuing to take the temporary compound V. And that would be because it's the easy option. It's the easy path to get his revenge on Homelander. Instead of Butcher trying to pursue this through conventional means, he rises, or rather falls, to Homelander's level. One of the many reasons for Homelander's unlikability is that he is a god, with incomparable power, that he has through just mere happenstance. He did not have to fight for it, earn it, or sacrifice anything to get this status. And whilst, yes, the consequence of this was a traumatic childhood of being raised in a lab that may or may not have resulted in his psychotic tendencies, he nonetheless got his powers, for all intensive purposes, for free, without sacrifice. And so did Butcher. This, to me, is what is in part so appealing about the show. Butcher and Homelander at first seem appear as the age-old good versus evil clash, the unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. But as time goes on and subsequent seasons ensue, do these labels become more and more irrelevant? Because, fundamentally, the two eventually become more similar to each other than they are not. The characterization of power in The Boys echoes some of the undertones from The Ring of Gyges, a major influence on Tolkien for that little-beknown tale called Lord of the Rings. The legend is of a farmer, Gyges, who stumbles upon an opening in the mountains. After going inside, he discovers a ring that renders him invisible. With this knowledge, he pursues a quest of endless domination, seducing the king's wife shortly before killing him and ruling the throne. Sound familiar to Homelander's character path at all? What I think Plato was trying to get at with this fable in the Republic is whether or not it is out of mere consequence that makes us act morally, or whether there is something greater, something beyond this. Because when we have status of ultimate power, the game has changed, and a new self is formed. I think Homelander has provided one answer for Plato. With no real means of eventual control over him, he can do as he pleases, and Homelander certainly does. I think this leads me on to what I'd like to say most about power in The Boys, and its seductive nature, and why the endless use of it is more of a display of weakness than it is strength. Because if there's one lesson to learn from this show, it is that true power lies not in the exercise of it, as Homelander seems to believe, but instead in the ability to give it up and to surrender it. It is the refusal to do so that makes Butcher and Homelander so akin, and far removed from the less corruptible nature of the fellow Hobbit. So, I think the main conclusion I want to draw from all of this is that power is seductive primarily because of its ease. Acquiescence of power and the use of it is a cheap way to get what you want in life. It is simpler to get someone to do something for you out of fear than it is love. There is no sacrifice or challenge in the excessive use of your power. It is this shortcut that we humans so often crave in trying to resolve our issues at heart. But at the end of it all lies mere emptiness. Meaning can only come from sacrifice, and without it, your appearance of strength will just be a veil of your own hollowness. There's many a reason to enjoy watching The Boys. An initial large appeal for me was the self-deprecating tone that the show took, very similar to Tropic Thunder. Refraining from being overly serious, it provided some serious light relief, yet simultaneously delivering some Tarantino-esque level gore and some dark comedy at that. I'm sure that with Season 4 on the horizon, there will be plenty more to discuss. But in the meantime, ask yourself this: what would you do in Guy G's position?